Hello guys, welcome back to the series of tutorials on OOP with C++. I am Deepak Kunyal and in this tutorial we are going to discuss about one of the most important feature of OOP, that is inheritance. If you are not aware about the OOP features, I suggest you watching my previous videos on OOP with C++ first and then coming back to this lecture. But I am still doing a little bit of recap of OOP features here so that you can grasp the things easily. So there are four features that we discussed in our previous lectures. One of them is encapsulation, which means you wrap up the data and methods inside one structure, that is class. Second, we talked about data abstraction, and in this case you are actually hiding the complexity from the user. And one more thing in encapsulation we get is information hiding, or we can say that it's a data hiding, and you should be well aware of the differences between information hiding and data abstraction. Sometimes people get confused between these two, but generally when we talk about information or data hiding, it's about data, and when we talk about data abstraction, it's about methods. That is important thing to learn. You can go to my previous videos and learn the differences between these two using some practical examples. Now the third point here is inheritance, which means inheriting data from some parent class to the derived class. But I am not going to discuss this much at this point of time because this whole lecture is about this. So we'll talk there in more detail. And the fourth point is about polymorphism. So polymorphism basically means using one thing in multiple ways, and later in this series of tutorials you will learn two things, that one is compile time polymorphism and another is runtime polymorphism, right? Okay, now let's talk about inheritance in more detail. So inheritance is a form of software reuse in which you create a class that uses the capability of existing classes and then customizes them or enhances them. Or simply, you can also say that inheritance is a process in which one object or class acquires properties and behavior of its parent class or parent object automatically. So you can understand this thing in this way, like we have a class and this class name is parent class. Then you are writing another class with name child class. So if you inherit child class from this parent class, so you are automatically going to get some properties and behaviors of this parent class, right? You don't need to implement those things, or you don't need to declare those things in child class. So we'll learn about this thing in a while, but for the purpose of understanding I think it's enough at this moment. Okay, so now moving ahead. So the class that inherit is called a derived class, and the class whose members or functions are being inherited is called base class, right? So now we have two more concepts here. One is base class and another is derived class. These classes are known with some other names also, so you don't need to get confused with that. Base class is called parent class, and derived class is also known with the name of child class. If you talk about languages like Java and C Sharp, then base class is also called superclass and derived class is called subclass, right? So all these names are same, and you will automatically know about them because these are some intuitive names, right? So basically we are getting the benefit of software reuse using inheritance, right? And it saves our time during program development. So when we are using software again and again and saving our time, it is also saving us from duplication of the code, and in that way it's reducing the chances of error, right? So these are the benefits of inheritance. So now we'll talk about this thing using an example so that you are able to appreciate more this feature of OOP. So let's start. Okay, consider a group of vehicles: bus, car, and truck. And think in this way that we are implementing all these things using the classes, and name of classes is bus, car, and truck itself, right? And then these classes have some methods which are exactly same in all the classes. So one of the function is apply brakes, another is finding out the capacity of fuel tank, and then third function is about checking the amount of fuel in tank of the bus, car, or truck. So just imagine that we are going to avoid inheritance and write code for each of the classes. So first we'll write definition of class bus and then implement all these functions. Then similarly we will do this thing for car, apply or implement all these functions. And similarly for the truck we are going to write class definition and all these functions, right? So you can understand this thing like we have a class bus, and then we have some public members, and we are actually implementing everything. I am just writing return type here, then function name, it could be function 1 at this moment, implement this, and then there will be code for function 2 and 3 and so on, whatever other functions are also implemented. And this whole code will be written same for both the classes car as well as truck. So what we are doing here, we are actually duplicating whole this code, all right? And as duplication increases, there are chances of error that increases. Sometimes you might copy and paste the code from here to another class, and if you want to change at one place you have to change that at all places. And sometimes you might forget this thing that if you have made changes at one place you have to make changes at another place also. So it's very time consuming, cumbersome, and very difficult to follow. So what we will do, we'll just use inheritance and now see how inheritance helps you in this process and saves your time, less duplication of the code, and it will also decrease the chances of error. So what you have to do, you have to just implement one class vehicle first, and then inside that just create those functions which are common in all those three. So I will just see which functions we are using here. Apply brakes first function, then capacity another function, and there is also a third function, fuel amount, right? So all these functions are implemented inside the vehicle. Now what you have to do, you have to just inherit this class in other three classes. And what are those three classes? One of the class is bus, car, and truck, right? So all these things, whether these are methods or data members, these will be automatically inherited inside these classes. You don't need to write these things. Clear? So I will show you all these things practically in later part of this series of tutorials. But let's first talk about the way you can implement inheritance in C++. So C++ basically offers three kind of inheritances, and these are private inheritance, protected, and public. We have talked about these access specifier previously, but in terms of inheritance we are discussing it now. So basically we have three kind of inheritances, but we generally use public inheritance for the practical use, and syntax of using inheritance in C++ is, so this is whole syntax of implementing inheritance in C++, and here you have to write the body of derived class. Now let's see what it means actually. So this is the class we are writing just now, but here is another class that has already been written, and then there is a mode or access mode we can say, which is very important, and this access mode could be of type private, protected, or public. We generally use public inheritance, but if you leave this thing you will get by default private inheritance mode. So let me show you what it means. So if you are writing like this, class derived and then base class, so it means that inheritance is of private type. Clear? So always keep this thing in mind, that whenever you are implementing inheritance you have to write child class first, which is the class name that you are writing at this moment, then use these colons, then access mode, and after that name of the base class. Clear? So this is for inheriting one base class. You can also inherit multiple base classes in C++, and for that you have to write class derived and then access mode and base class 1 that you want to inherit another access mode. If you are writing private here, you can write here private, protected, or public, and similarly here as well, right? And then after 2 base class 2, and so on if you want to add more classes here, and then here will be body of the derived class. Clear? So what all these things means, this is derived class, this is base class, and this is access mode. So now you have idea that access mode could be either private, protected, and public, but what exactly it means? So now we are going to understand this thing in detail, what this access mode actually means. So access mode decide the visibility of member functions or data members of base class in derived class, right? Sometimes it is confusing to remember it, but it's very easy if you know the concept of principle of least privilege, which means that any user, program, or process should have only the bare minimum privileges necessary to perform its function, which you can understand in this context like this: always assign the least data accessing privilege to the program. You might be confused about this thing at this point of time, but let's see this thing in practical way so that you can understand the thing easily. So we have talked about access mode, which could be public, protected, or private, right? So I hope now you are aware about this. And we have talked that these access mode decide the visibility of member functions or data members of base class into derived class. Clear? So let's see this thing in detail. These are access mode, and then we have member functions or data members of base class on the right side here. So you could have three kind of access mode in data members and member functions, which could be public, protected, and private. Clear? This thing we have also discussed in our previous tutorial, so it should not be confusing. So now let's start understanding this thing. When we have public access mode and we have public data members or member function in base class, now let's see which one of them is of least privilege. Both are public, so none of them is least or most. You can just write public here. So it means If some members or data members or member functions are public in base class, they will be public in derived class also, right? Now coming further, we have public access mode and protected data members. So which one of them is of least privilege? It's protected, right? So it means the member functions or data members which are protected in base class, they will be protected in derived class also, because this is the least privilege. In case of public access mode and private data members, so these private members are already private in base class, right? And you know that these cannot be accessed outside. So what we are going to do with them, they will be hidden in the derived class. So this is the least privilege at this moment. Clear? Now try to fill all the other blanks here and see whether you are able to correctly attempt them or not. You can pause the video here and then can match the answer with mine. So when we are talking about protected and public, it should be protected here. Protected and protected, it should be protected here. And private members will be hidden in this case also. Now when we have private and public, it means public members will be private now. Protected members will be private now. And private members will be hidden now. Clear? So I hope this is clear to you now. Let's take an example for this and understand how it works practically. So here I am using Atom Editor. What I can do, I can just go to the terminal first, create a file there. You can also create the file from here, but I will show you the way terminal works. So let's move to the terminal first. Okay, now I am on the terminal and this is the same directory as we were looking in the Atom Editor. Now let us run this command ls and see all the files. I have also installed git with this and I keep on pushing my files to the GitHub. You can go to my GitHub profile and see these files. So these files are not pushed till now, but I do not want to push them because these are some testing programs. Now let's create a file with the name inheritance, or I can also give another name, but as of now I think inheritance is fine, or inheritance access I can write and then put cpp here. And this is the nano editor. I can include io stream header file and then using namespace std here. I'm not writing all the code in the nano editor, but it is just to show you that you can also write code here. I have exited from here. Now I will go to the Atom Editor and here you can see this is the file that we have created, right? So let's start with the thing that we are about to look into. So this is class A and here I am creating some data members, int x which is public, then give some protected data members which is int y, and then a private member which is int z. And this class A is base class in our case, alright, and we are going to use this class in some another class called B class. And here you have to write access mode. I am writing public here first, public A. It means the inheritance mode is public, and then there are some data members here, x, y and z, right? What I will do, I will put a comment here and show you these things in comment only. Similarly, there is another class. I will copy this whole code and make this C class and make it protected, and similarly for another class D class, and we have to write private here. Now just look at this and try to fill these access or visibility of the variables. So X should be public here because we know inheritance is public and member is also public. Y should be protected and Z should be hidden. I will show you this thing and then you can implement other classes. For that I need to create a main function here. I will create an object of B class and then we'll call print function, and I will make that function print as public so that it can be accessed outside. It should be void print, and then you can try to print these variables. So we are first printing X, then print Y, and then print Z. And after this example you will be able to clearly understand that what it means. We don't need to create XYZ variables because these are already being created here. If you want to assign some values to them, that is fine, but we are not doing that as of now. They will have some initial values, or maybe what you can do, you can create a constructor here, right? And that constructor could provide some values to the X, Y, and Z. So X should be 10, Y should be 20, and Z should be 30. Clear? Now run this program. We can use terminal for running this program. So we have to compile this program like this: inheritance, and there is some error. Z is a private member of A, so it cannot be accessed outside, right? We'll comment that line first and then run the program again. Now comment this line, and this variable is public as you all know from here, and another one is protected. So this should also work, right? Now you can see program is compiled successfully. Now run the program, and X is 10 and Y is 20, right? So you have seen how this works, right? So what you can do, you can implement these things on your own and ask your queries or doubts in comment section if you have any problem, and I will try to respond back them as soon as possible. Let me do one more thing. I will upload this code to the GitHub, and the way of doing is this. So it's git status, and now you can see this file is untracked right now. We have to add this file to the staging area. Now this file is green, and after that you can commit using a message, and I am implementing inheritance access mode here, and the changes are written. I will show you my GitHub profile now. Okay, here you can see my profile. Here is the link you can follow, and you will see the code that I have pushed till now, and the last code that was pushed was 19 days ago, right? And let me show you how can I push the code, and that will be shown here. So I need to write command git push origin master, and you can see this is pushing all the files to the GitHub. Now refresh this page, and you can see implement inheritance access mode, and it was 2 minutes ago. So I will click this, and you can see the code online. Clear? So now your task is to implement this whole class and ask me in case of any doubt in the comment section, right? So I think this lecture is a bit lengthy, but it's good if you want to understand all the concepts of inheritance. It's still not complete because we have to implement a lot of things, and the example that we have discussed previously, that we want to talk about vehicles and then the derived classes of that, bus, car and truck. So we are going to implement that in next lecture, but as of now please look into this. So I hope this is clear to you. If you have any doubt or any question or any query, you can write in the comments and I will try to respond back as soon as possible. If you like the tutorial, please like the video, share it with your friends and subscribe the channel. So see you in the next video. Till then, thank you so much.